Yeah. What's good? This is your boy, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to try to see the game. And y'all know what it is. Y'all know the vibes. I'm joined by my man, Coach Marcus from Pro Fan Talk. Y'all know when Pro Fan Talk and Chalk It Up Sports comes together, we build it. Nope. We built it better than Voltron, baby. You feel what I'm saying? We better than the Transformers. You know what I'm saying? There's no camaraderie better than this, man. And I'm grateful to this man. He always make the time to kick it. And you guys are really gravitating towards these shows, man. Marcus, you're doing a hell of a job, brother. And
appreciate it.
I love what you're doing, man. I love what you're building. I love our connection. How are you feeling this weekend?
I'm a lot better now than I was a little bit ago, man. Just going through the week, watching film. Tampa Bay is in the same spot as we are. They got a lot of key injuries, and they dealing with a lot down there too. So all things being equal, man, I'm still, even without AJ and Devontae, I'm still picking the Eagles to win, man.
Yeah. That's the interesting thing about the game. Both teams are dealing with their fair share of injuries, right? Most of the Buccaneers injuries or their key injuries are on the defensive side of the ball, right? Kalijah Cansey, Antoine Winfield Jr., right? Key guys in the trenches and in the back, in the back of the defense. And then you go to the Eagles side of things, all their key issues are on the offensive side. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, man. Lane Johnson. You told me about that before the show started. It's official. Lane Johnson is out, people. So no AJ Brown, no Lane Johnson, no Devontae Smith. This is going to be a real telltale for Jalen Hurts. We know he got the win against the Saints, right? But you still had Devontae primarily for that game. You had Lane Johnson for half of the game. You had Mekhi Becton for half of the game. Mekhi Becton's going to play, thank God. But you got to ask yourself, right? What kind of Jalen Hurts can you expect in this game, knowing he's going against his arch nemesis and Todd Bowles?
You better have a Jalen Hurts that can read the blitz. That's what you better have. You already know Todd Bowles is going to bring the funk. He blitzed us 60% last year in that playoff game. I would expect to see nothing different this game, especially with Lane Johnson being out, because I got some stats on this, man. When we are ranked 13th for pressures allowed with Lane Johnson's on the field. But that goes to number 1. We let the most pressures in when Lane Johnson is not on the field. Wow. So that is a huge liability. However, you got to look at the play that we had from the backups last year. And what's the I'm already blanking on the names. Because one guy came in for Beckham last year. I'm sorry, not last year.
Last week. Oh, you're talking about Tyler Steen came in for Becton. Fred Johnson came in for Lane Johnson. Big game for both of them, by the way. Tyler Steen was flawless in that game. Gave up no pressures. Had a perfect damn near pass blocking rating. He was flawless, man. Didn't give up any pressures, no sacks. I think Fred Johnson gave up a sack on that final drive, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, I mean, they're going to be tested. They're going to be tested. And if you ask me, the best course of action in a situation like this is the kind of game plan that you don't want to overthink. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are struggling against the run right now. I think they're giving up about 130, 140 yards a game right now. In the run game, they're giving up the most touchdowns, I think, the running backs. This is a game that's very clear to the OC and the head coach. Get Saquon Barkley going early.
Absolutely.
This is a very simple game plan. And I'm sure the Buccaneers are saying, well, okay, we're missing this guy, we're missing that guy. Our run defense hasn't been good. They're going to test us on the ground. So what if they know that? Attack them. Go forward. Punch them in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? The worst punch to take is the one you see coming, because it's like, damn, I could have dodged that. Right. And it's the most embarrassing. You got to take advantage of those guys, especially with our Kalijah Cansey. Vita Vea, he's playing, but he's a little compromised. He's not at full strength.
Yeah.
So you got to
wear that knee out. Cam Jurgens, I want to see Cam Jurgens take it to him. So I would rather see us attacking. You know what? Do the same thing we did last week. You had a lot of inside zone reads, like slams, out of gun formation. So I would expect the same thing. I don't see why we should change it. They are going to be expecting it. And I think it's going to be, we might have some opportunities. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of Kenny Gainwell today.
That's interesting. Kenny Gainwell is a player that he hasn't really been getting the most touches, especially having Saquon in the building, as to be expected. It's funny. I was watching the unscripted, the most recent unscripted episode by the Philadelphia Eagles on YouTube. They were pretty much following Nakobe Dean and guys like that. And the episode started with Nick Sirianni making it very clear what everybody's role is. He said, "Listen, Jalen Hurts, you're our leader. We need you to be on point, right? AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, everything in the air running through y'all. Saquon, we brought you here for a reason. You are first, second, and third down back." So like that, you saying that about Kenny Gainwell made me think about that moment. And I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, where do you expect them to fit in Kenny Gainwell? Especially, well, let me put it this way: if they are going run heavy, you can expect Kenny Gainwell to have way more snaps, right? I mean, you don't want to run Saquon into the dirt,
correct?
But you also want him on the field when he wants to be on the field,
right? And I'm speaking specifically because I was watching Greg Cosell's podcast this morning, and maybe with the exception of Baldy, nobody watches more film than Greg Cosell.
Yeah.
And he mentioned something about pony packages, and I was like, "What the hell are you calling a pony package?" Another word for a 2-back set. I said, okay. So was going back and looking at some things, and they are going to be focusing on Saquon. So you're going to have an opportunity to use him as a decoy, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, get Kenny Gainwell involved and take advantage of some matchup opportunities, and take some of the load off of Saquon and give some carries somewhere else. And not to mention, literally, I was watching the highlights of the Denver-Tampa Bay game right before we got on the air. You know who was gutting Tampa Bay? Bo Nix running the ball. Really? So I'm thinking, if Bo Nix can gut him with some zone reads and some RPOs, I know Jalen Hurts can do it. But it's just a matter of what kind of game plan is Kellen Moore going to call. But there are some opportunities because Bo Nix surprised them with his running ability. So that's something that we might have to look out for with Jalen Hurts, because I believe there are going to be some opportunities there, especially it all depends on how Todd Bowles is going to blitz and where he is going to blitz. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I think we're going to have some opportunities. Everybody's going to try to keep Jalen contained and not let him get around the edge and beat you that way. So if Jalen's going to run, he's going to find his lanes up the middle, because I don't think Todd Bowles is going to let him get outside.
It's interesting because I think about Todd Bowles and how much he blitzes Jalen Hurts and how he tries to forces him to make, false decisions or whatever. Do you know the disparity between how often the Buccaneers, how often Todd Bowles and his team blitzes normally compared to just how often he blitzes Jalen Hurts? Is it such a drastic disparity, or is it just something we notice because we follow the team?
I think it's a little bit both, because he played it out all the way going back to the first year Jalen started, and you had the whole thing on the sidelines. He can't read defenses. It started there. So up until this year, Jalen Hurts really hasn't done a very good job with the blitz. Now, a lot of that is coaching, and a lot of that was the scheme we was running. We just didn't have hot routes ready, especially in that game last year, that the first round of the playoffs last year. That was the game where I was like, I like Nick Sirianni, but if there was ever a game where he should have been fired, that should have been it. Because everybody and their mama knew Todd Bowles was going to blitz, and we still weren't ready for it. That was inexcusable. So he's had a lot more success this season against the blitz, but I think this is the real test. He's been passing a lot of quizzes. Now is the real test because Todd Bowles is going to bring the funk. And Todd Bowles has some very strategic and crafty blitzes, blitzing multiple guys through the same gap, the delays he can do in the twists, all that type of stuff, man. He is going to see it. But at the end of the day, it's all about, can Jalen Hurts recognize it and make the right read? Because, again, the one thing I saw with Denver, Bo Nix was getting rid of the ball extremely quickly. He wasn't going far down the field. He was throwing the ball 10 yards or less, but he was making completions, getting the ball out of his hands super quick so the rush couldn't get there, and it was paying dividends. They were getting good yards, not out of big splash plays, but they were moving the chains. That's all Jalen Hurts has to do. Every now and then he's going to break out of the pocket and take off. Everybody knows if he tries to run to the right, problem's going to happen. And that's what he wants to do. So they're going to try to force him in that area where he makes the most mistakes.
Yeah. You can't really blame Tampa Bay. I mean, they played this brother, 3 times prior to today? Both 2 playoff games and 1 regular season. Yes, 2 playoff games and 1 regular season game, man. Look, Jalen Hurts, he has to get this demon off his back, man. I feel like every quarterback has that one team that they do struggle against. It just comes with territory. But I think this is a game where we're going to see. We're not going to see a 300-yard passing game by Jalen Hurts. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the kind of game where Jalen Hurts has 180, 190 passing yards, 70 rushing yards. Like, I feel like this is going to be one of those kind of games. Limited possessions. You don't want to throw the ball too much downfield. Like, to your point about Bo Nix, right? We're not going to see Jalen Hurts throwing the ball downfield like that. If we do, it's going to be the Dallas Goedert, some trickery, some play action. But I don't think when it comes to Johnny Wilson, Jahan, Dotson, or whatever, you're not going to see Jalen Hurts making those high risk throws down the field. I think what you said about Bo Nix is kind of was what Kellen Moore is probably going to look at and say, you know what, we're going to get the ball out quick. We're going to set him up with the run game. And then we're going to take out shots as we see fit.
Mm-hmm. I think this is a perfect game. If we're ever going to see it, now's the perfect time to see it. If Kellen Moore has any type of screen game, today's the day.
Yeah, take advantage of that blitz.
If Jalen does have a good day passing, it will be throwing the dink and dunks and the checkdowns to the running backs and letting them do their things. I think I would look for Calcaterra to have a decent game because they're going to be gunning for Goddard. Goddard is now the focus. Goddard is now the best receiver on our team right now. So they're going to be looking to stop him. I haven't seen much from Jahan Dotson. I'll believe it when I see it. That's what the defense is saying. We're not worried about him. He hasn't shown us anything. We don't have no film on him. Dallas Goedert, we got film on. Saquon Barkley, we got film on. So I could see Saquon going, shifting him to a different spot on the slot or maybe a stack formation and getting him on the linebacker and see what he can do. But don't be surprised if they do move him out where he's in a pass formation, if he gets double teamed or something like that. So the chess match is going to be paramount today because we are going to have to get the right matchups because we're so limited on offense.
Exactly. That's the key word right there, matchups. And then on top of that, you're right. Dallas Goedert having that big game last week, they're keying in on him. And with Jalen Hurts' options being limited, right, in terms of his passing options, you only got Dallas Goedert and Saquon, and obviously you got those other guys, but they're just not A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. You're going to see them key in on Dallas Goedert in the passing game. You're going to see them try to eliminate his number one read and force him to put the ball on those other guys' hands and force and make them beat him. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them sell out in the run game and then just double Goddard and force Jalen Hurts to make the throw. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that.
And here's the one thing that we cannot forget, because I saw it on film all last week watching that Saints game. They have to know that our tight ends cannot block. They have to know that. So you're going to test that theory because none of our tight ends do a very good job of blocking a blitz.
Yeah,
blocking
Goddard actually hasn't been
scrimmage.
He hasn't been the sharpest in blocking this year for some reason.
Nah,
not even. I wonder what that's about. Because he's typically been very good.
That's something that they can take advantage of. And I would look for Todd Bowles to try to exploit that or bring the blitz where the tight end has to block somebody because they're right now they are a liability.
Absolutely. Tampa Bay's actually been having a pretty decent season thus far. I think about some of their players, right? Baker Mayfield, he's a player that's kind of had a resurgence or a second leg to his career, moving on to Tampa Bay, had a little bit of a stint in LA. But since getting to Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield's been a pretty good quarterback. He's had a career year. He had a career year last year. Some people think he's still getting better. It all remains to be seen. But as of right now in the season, Baker Mayfield, through 3 games played, he's completing 74% of his passes, 637 passing yards, has 7 total touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 6 passing, 1 running touchdown. He's been pretty efficient. And he does have a pretty good win on the resume this season. They beat Detroit. And that Washington win is looking a little bit better, especially seeing how Washington handled the Cincinnati Bengals.
Absolutely.
So the Buccaneers are a team, but they did lose to Denver, 26-7. They completely came down to earth, and it's interesting, right? When you look at their score totals over the past 3 weeks, they came out on the season guns blazing, 37-20, beat Washington. Then week 2, okay, they take a step back, but you win the game, 20-16. Okay, some games happen like that, right? Sometimes they're going to be low scoring. But then you go to Denver, or Denver comes to your house, excuse me. Denver comes to Tampa Bay, and you lose 26-7. Right. I'm trying to figure out, because you watched a lot of film, and we spent a lot of time talking about the offensive side of the ball. What can the Philadelphia Eagles defensively take from that game that the Denver Broncos were able to dominate Tampa Bay Buccaneers? What can they use to sort of multiply those struggles?
They can bring pressure. Baker Mayfield still is not the most elusive person in the world. Denver got pressure on him. They got to figure out a way to bottle up Bucky Irvin. Bucky Irvin is a explosive option when Rachaad White is not in the game. A lot of people like Bucky Irvin better than Rachaad White, and they are finding ways to get him the ball. Very similar to what Atlanta's doing with Bijan. Figure out a way, put him in all crazy formations, and figure out a way to get him the ball. And that's what they've been doing. I saw 2 plays. I was going to try to bring them up, but I didn't want to mess anything up. But let me hold on for a second. I want to see if I can do this.
You do. Let's see.
Hold on. There we go. Hold up.
Yeah, I think this is a game where you got to take advantage. Yeah, I got it. Yep.
Right. So check this out. Watch what they did with Bucky Irvin.
Where is he? He's in the backfield. Okay.
Yeah. Watch this.
That's a
32-yard run right there.
Interesting.
You see what I'm saying? They bring him all the way in motion, and he running a counter play off the motion.
I never seen that before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's another play. They run basically the same play, but they bring the tight end in motion. And then now Bucky Irvin is deep in ace formation. The tight end comes in motion. Mm-hmm. The tight end counters back like he's a pulling guard. And he's the lead blocker on man on the line of scrimmage. So my point is they are using trying to disguise ways to obviously see if we in zone or a man, but they bringing him away, trying to get the defense to shift to set up the blocks, then they counter back. So, and I'm saying all that to say they are finding ways to get him the ball. And the Eagles have got to be ready because we've been known to over pursue time every now and then. So that's an opportunity where Tampa Bay is trying to make the most out of that situation that we're not expecting. So our line, Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean gonna have to be on it.
So do you anticipate a similar game plan from week 3 against the Saints? 5-man front?
A little bit, yeah. Alvin Kamara didn't have a bad game. Overall, the defense played well.
Yes, it's interesting you say that. He didn't technically have a terrible game. He had 120 yards from scrimmage, but no touchdowns, and he averaged only 3 yards a carry. That's the stat. He averaged 3 yards a carry. And even if you look in the passing game of Kamara, if you take away that catch he got on Zach Bond, the linebacker, he really wasn't doing much in the passing game either. He had a couple explosives sprinkled in there, but he really didn't wreck the game. And if I can go into a game or end the game and, I'm a Kamara, he gets his 100 total yards, but no touchdowns, average 3 yards a carry, not that many explosives. That's a win in my opinion. Certain guys are going to get their numbers. That's just certain guys are going to get their numbers. But can you give them a tough go at it? Right. And to your point about how the Buccaneers are going to do everything possible to create situations for Bucky Irvin. The Saints depend heavily on Alvin Kamara. They create so many ways to get him the ball as well. That's why I asked, do you anticipate a similar game plan because of how integral both running backs are to what they're trying to accomplish?
You know me, run it till they stop it. Run it till they stop it. As far as us on offense, nobody's proven that they can stop Saquon yet. So why should we do anything different? Plus, Tampa Bay's run defense is okay.
Yeah, their run defense is worse than the Saints, actually. And the Saints actually have through 3 games, I think the Saints defense is pretty for real through 3 games.
Absolutely.
You can tell they're for real, especially their DBs. They're just a good defense, right? Are they top 3, top 5? Who knows? But I think the Saints right now are playing like a top 10 defense for sure. So you can make an argument the Buccaneers defense, after losing Antoine Winfield, losing Kalijah Kancey, a limited Vita Vea, right? You can make an argument that defense is worse.
Correct.
And Saquon Barkley should be able to really take advantage of those guys, knowing what we know about their run defense.
Correct.
This can't be a game we overthink it.
Cam Jurgens has proven he can handle his own.
Yes, he has. And he's been getting better every week. The thing about Cam, week 1, he had a little bit of snap issues. Okay. Week 2, he had some issues staying. He had some issues staying. He has some issues as far as illegal man downfield, right? He had about 2 or 3 of those in week 2. And then week 3, he was perfect. No issues. I think Cam Jurgens, obviously, again, young guy, had to settle in. The chemistry is getting better. Cam Jurgens so far is proven that he can handle himself. And he had to deal with some tough guys in front on the Saints, man. They may not be names you speak a lot about, but that Saints defensive line, they are comprised with a bunch of very strong B-level players with Cam Jordan being their A player. You feel what I'm saying? So there's got to be a game where you can't overthink it. You got to say, you know what? Saquon, take us home. Jalen Hurts, make the passes we need you to make and get out of there with the dub. Get out of there with the dub.
With the whole bevy of injuries on both sides.
Yeah.
When you line up what you have on the field, I still take the Eagles to beat Tampa Bay. I'm expecting our defense to eat. I'm expecting Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis to do it again. The one thing you was mentioning about Tampa Bay's offense, Tampa Bay's 14th in the league right now with points scored. But they're 25th in total yards. They're 26th in rushing yards, so they don't run the ball very well. They're 23rd in passing yards. Here's where you mentioned that word, efficiency. Baker Mayfield has been efficient. They're top 10 in third downs. They're ranked 10th in the league, third down efficiency, and they're 13th in the red zone where it counts. So overall, not anything that's going to blow you out of the water, but obviously when they get to in scoring position, they're taking care of business, with the exception of last week against Denver.
Yeah.
So I still expect our defensive line to dominate the line of scrimmage.
With that red zone defense in mind, right? The Eagles' red zone defense has been legitimate over the past 3 games. That's the one thing that on defense they have been to the utmost consistent. Red zone defense, teams have been below 50% each and every week in the red zone because the Philadelphia Eagles.
They're forcing a lot of field
goals. A lot of field goals, right? So I say that to say Obviously, I expect that to continue, but I also take that against the Buccaneers as well, right? I take because I'm not sure exactly where their red zone defense is ranked. I'm trying to find that right now. But okay, let's see here. Opponent points, opponent red zone scoring percentage. Okay, here it is. So as of right now, the Philadelphia Eagles have a top. Okay, there are a few teams that are tied with them, tied for fourth place as far as red zone defense. So you can make an argument the Philadelphia Eagles have a top 5 red zone defense. They're only allowing teams to score touchdowns on 30% at 30% of the time. And they've been very consistent. The last 3 games, 30% exactly. On the road, 28.5%, home, 33%. And in 2023, they were 65%. So they have drastically improved their red zone defense. That tells you they spent most of their time, especially under Vic Fangio, because his whole defense is predicated on bend but don't break, right? So his red zone defense, above all else, has to be the most stout in whatever he's trying to accomplish. Last year, like I said, 65% compared to this year's 30%. Again, 3 games only, but they've been very consistent. That 30% has been tried and true throughout the past 3 weeks, and they've gone up against some teams that can put points on you. Packers, they know how to put points up. The Saints, clearly over the first 2 weeks, they know how to put points up. Atlanta, debatable. They're talented, but it's debatable. But overall, I expect this to be a game where the Eagles' red zone defense still maintains, still holds true. It's going to come down to everything in between the 20s. And it's going to come down to Nick Sirianni making the right decisions, right? Let's get into the Nick Sirianni angle of it. Because Nick Sirianni, over the past few weeks, has not been the belle of the ball. He has been somebody who's been highly criticized, rightfully so. For his in-game decision-making, right? And here's the thing. When you are the CEO, and a lot of people say this, so I'm going to say it here. When you are the CEO, coach, and you're not calling the plays on offense, you're not calling the plays on defense, you have to be spot on with your decision making. You can't overthink that. You can't overcomplicate that, right? If your team is driving down the field and your team goes on a 12-play drive, long drive, the Eagles are known for a long drive, 12 plays, 13 plays, whatever it may be. If your team goes on a 12, 13-play drive, and let's just say, all right, you didn't convert on 3rd down, it's 4th and 6. You're in the red zone. You got to take those points. Because what happens is, if you don't take those points and you try to go for it and you don't get it, you're basically saying to your offense, everything that you've accomplished up to this point meant nothing.
Correct.
And that can, and you tell me, you played the game. That can be a mind fuck, if you ask me. If I'm on offense and we did all of that, and you mean to tell me we didn't take the points, because especially early in the game, I got a problem with that. If I'm on defense and I watch this offense drive down the field and we just got off a long drive ourselves, and you mean to tell me that you're not going to take the points and reward us for whatever we just went through? Especially, again, first, second quarter, first half, I got a problem with that. That's how you lose trust in that locker room. You got to take the points, at least early in the game, because, listen, your team is talented enough to be explosive. Take the points and trust that they're going to put the touchdowns up at some point throughout the game.
Correct. And you can look at these last couple of games, man, and every possession matters. Every point matters. What's frustrating is when you lose games, just like we lost in Atlanta, and we never should have been in that situation. If we would have taken the field goals, it changes the whole outlook of what teams are forced to do.
Exactly.
Even in that last drive, if we don't score, they still, or if we use as much time as we can and we only end up with a field goal, they still have less than 20 seconds to run the field. So it seems like he is really overthinking it. And when you overthink it, what do they say? What am I trying to say?
Paralysis by analysis.
Paralysis by analysis. Because these are, in my opinion, these are not complicated decisions.
Common sense should
tell you,
Marcus, real quick.
This is what you do.
That's the problem. They're not. Yeah. I make better decisions playing Madden. I make better decisions playing college football 25. some of the decisions he's making, I'm saying, bro, these are Bush League decisions.
Yeah.
I don't
need to do this.
I don't understand what he's trying to do. I don't know if he's trying to validate his position, whatever. I don't know what his issue is right now. But through the first 3 weeks, you got to look in the mirror, bro, and realize 2 straight weeks you have hurt your team. You have hurt your team. And you can make an argument they lost the Atlanta game because of you. Some people argue that. I don't necessarily argue that, but some people can argue that. And I don't really debate too much with them because that Atlanta game, you can pull a few tea leaves as to why they lost that game. The Saquon drop, right? The D-line being non-existent. The turnovers by Jalen Hurts. You can make an argument for all those things.
Yeah, but you still, at the end of the day, you still had the opportunity. You still had the game in your hand.
Through all that.
And you have the game in your hand. And common sense says you do not even put the possibility of stopping the clock on the playing field. You don't even put that possibility out there. So you run the ball twice. Saquon, tush, push. Whatever you want to do. But the common sense says whatever you got to pull out your playbook as long as the clock keeps running. So throwing the ball, I get it. That was the perfect call. We just didn't execute. But now that possibility exists, and Murphy's Law will always come through and bite you in the ass. So don't even give that opportunity. Don't even let that opportunity exist. And he had a chance to do that and didn't want to do it. Because how many times have we been watching the game? And I've seen this before on Monday Night Football, Sunday night primetime games, where literally the people in the broadcast booth say, if they convert this, he'll be a hero. But if he doesn't, he's never going to hear the end of it. Because the risk is greater than the reward. So don't do it. Play the safe. That there is a lesson in playing the safe bet because it's safe. Go with the sure thing. A bird in the hand beats 2 in the bush. All of these other cliches are there for a reason. And I think you look at Dan Campbell in the playoffs last year with Detroit. Yes, he called the right play. Yes, his receiver fell down and didn't catch the ball. And it cost them points. So, yes, you had everything called, but woulda, coulda, shoulda don't do nothing but rhyme. So you didn't get it done, and you didn't have to do that. You could have taken the point. You could have punted the ball. There's a lot of different things you could have done to not put your opponent in a better situation to take advantage of. And they're not, I guess the ego is like, we're going to do it my way. We're going to be aggressive. Aggressive seems to be the buzzword now.
Yeah, here's the thing.
And it's trumping common sense.
And that's a problem for me because, I look at Nick Sirianni and I say to myself, dog, I'll put you this way. Just because the car says it goes 200 miles per hour doesn't mean that you should be driving at 200 miles per hour all the time. You feel what I'm saying? Right. Sometimes you got to move like you're in the school zone. Facts. And the problem with Nick Sirianni is too often he's moving like he's on a racetrack. Bro, sometimes you got to realize when you're driving, you're going to come across different speed limits, brother. And you got to abide by those speed limits, right? Circumstances, situational football, right? You have to weigh where you are in these situations. And you have to say, okay, first quarter, we drove down the field on our first drive. We was able to stop them on their first drive defensively. We get the ball, we drive. Okay, we get stopped in the red zone, but we can get points. You take those points.
Take the
in the first quarter on your first drive. And because immediately, once points go on the board, teams have to change what's coming next. Right? When there's no points on the board, teams have full reign of what they want to do. The moment points go up, now they're losing. So now whatever they probably had in mind, maybe they will stick to the game plan. But when points go up, directions of offenses and directions of game planning changes no matter how many points it is. Period. Right. And that's where Nick Sirianni is screwing up at. You're robbing your team of momentum and you're giving it all to the opponent.
Correct.
That's what he's done over the past 2 weeks. He's robbed his team of momentum and given it to the opponent. And the Eagles won that Saints game in spite of him. He can't be the liability. He can't. You have almost no responsibility. Yeah. You can't be the liability.
we should have had 20 points in that game, at least.
Correct.
We should have had 20 points. And it shouldn't have even been like these are conversations that we should not be having about Nick Sirianni.
I agree 100%.
Why wouldn't you take the points? Why would
4 years in, by the way? 4 years. This is his 4th year, right? Of the Eagles?
Yeah. Yep.
Come on.
You should be better than that. And I don't want to, because I ultimately I like Sirianni as a coach because everybody has doubted him. And
Same.
the only thing he's done, let me say it like this. There are many other NFL coaches who are a lot better than Nick Sirianni that have never been to the playoffs 3 straight years. This is a results-based business. So I don't care what your resume says.
Right. I don't care how
I want to
smart
see
you are.
what you do on the sidelines. Have you gotten your team to the playoffs and gave them an opportunity to play for the big game? And whether we all know how it ended last year. And in spite of all of that, you still had an opportunity in the playoffs. Now we can talk about how you performed and all of that kind of stuff, but some people don't never sniff the playoff, and we have for 3 straight years under Nick Sirianni. So you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. However, you got to show and prove that just like we want Jalen Hurts to evolve and get better as a quarterback, same thing as a head coach. And if we have games like we had against the Saints, he's just gonna eat up all the equity that he has as a coach. He's just demolishing it. And you can't do that, not in this city.
Yeah. It seems like week after week, at least through this season, his stock has just been going down, and he's just been validating why people have been saying, "Why are you bringing this guy back?" Right? You can't be you just can't be that simple minded in simple situations. Right. Let me get to this one super chat real quick. He said this earlier and I forgot about it. Shout out to my man, keep the main thing 100 with the $1.99 super. I appreciate you, brother. He said, Tone, Jalen Hurts under 250 passing yards, Saquon over 89 rushing. I would take that. I would take that. I don't think this is going to be a game where Jalen Hurts is going crazy down the field. I just don't.
That's Nick Sirianni's equity in Philadelphia.
And the crazy, Nick, thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate that, main thing.
It's like Sirianni is
Scariani. That's funny.
Scary. No. Seriously, that's his name so far this year. Nick.
No, that's the real RMP just put that in the chat.
Shout out to my man RMP, man. That's my guy. That's my guy, man.
Funny.
Facts, Coach.
That's
Mark,
a good one.
Coach Sirianni been lost at least half the fan base, if not more, bro. And the thing, and this is what I'm talking about, right? Sirianni. See, here's the thing when it comes to Nick Sirianni. One, I believe he's an acquired taste, and two, Nick Sirianni's personality. You only like him when you're winning.
When you like him,
right. You only like him when you like him. You know what I'm saying? Like he's,
it's good till it isn't.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni is like, it's like sweets. You can overindulge, and it's good when it's good, but when it ain't, it ain't.
Yeah, because all of his antics and pumping up the crowd and all of that kind of stuff. You're right. You only see it when you win it. I mean, and that's not anything new, but I just look at that as that's ammunition. If somebody's looking for a reason to rip on Nick Sirianni, they did the same thing with Donovan McNabb.
Right.
One arguably the best quarterback the Eagles have ever had, and the only thing people will rip him for is the damn air guitar down in Dallas. So if he wins the game, that whole situation is totally different. But we lost, we got embarrassed, and that's the one thing that everybody looks at. And Sirianni is the same way. It's like, man, stop going back and forth with fans and talking all of that shit and worry about what you're doing on the sideline and make some smart moves. He is shortening his own leash.
Yes, I agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if after these first 3 weeks, especially over the past couple weeks, right, with his in-game decision-making, because, again, it's going to be vital in this game against Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles, say what you want about him, say what you want about his tenure in New York. He is an experienced head coach.
Absolutely.
When you're going up against a guy like that, you can't, again, you just can't be the weak link. And, again, for you have experience yourself, Nick. You've been to the playoffs every year your time in Philadelphia. I mean, there are certain things that we should just not be talking about. Correct. But it is what it is. I want to dig a little deeper though into some of these personnel with the Eagles, especially some guys that we talked about off camera that aren't going to be seen in this game. We've already addressed the injuries, but Devin White, another healthy scratch.
Yeah,
I gotta ask you, Marcus, what's going on here? I mean, you mean to tell me you can't find any way to use him? I'm going back to your original point. Something happened that wasn't football related.
Correct. Out of all the games for Devin White to be inactive versus Tampa Bay versus his old team, you talk about somebody having a chip on their shoulder. This is the week for him to have a chip on his shoulder, and you keep him out of the game because let's be real. You don't have to do that. He can still be a backup. He can still be in the rotation.
Right. That's my thing. He doesn't have to be a starter, but you're completely making him a healthy scratch. You're basically saying I value Ben Van Sumeren more than I value
exactly. Right now, that makes absolutely no sense to me.
I don't care how valuable.
I will say this: we are about to go into a bye week, so that gives Howie a week and a half to make some things happen. If there's any rumors out there about getting rid of him, a trade or anything like that, and the injury bug hit a little early this year.
Yes.
So there might be some people in line for a linebacker. So maybe Howie Roseman wouldn't be the first time, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's got something cooking in the back room. He got the grill warmed up, about to put the meat in the smoker, man. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens. I hope it does, because that means Howie had something working, and now it would make much sense. It makes more sense. But to have somebody like Devin White sitting on the sidelines in street clothes, that to me that doesn't make sense, because I refuse to believe that he's not one of the best players on that defense.
Yeah, it is kind of hard for me to believe that Devin White can't provide you any kind of value. So again, like I said, it had to be something. It had to be.
You see that?
No, what happened?
Look at Afrado in the chat. Howie is going to trade White for Reddick.
You know what's so funny? I'm glad he brought that up, because a lot of people have been throwing Bryce Huff's name in those conversations as well. And Bryce Huff, the Eagles paid him 3 years, $51 million, $34 million guaranteed, an average salary of $17 million. He has not earned that contract whatsoever. As a matter of fact, he's been a worse player for the Eagles than he was for the Jets. And, here's the thing, right? I saw somebody tweet something about how he's being used in Philadelphia. And they're trying to say that's why he hasn't been performing, right? But my thing is, his first few years in his career, he was last year in particular where he broke out, he was a situational pass rusher. But you would expect a guy to be able to improve, a young guy. The Eagles were betting on him, basically. And he has not shown that he can play all three downs, right? I'm trying to figure out what value Bryce Huff and Devin White can probably bring you at this point. And I have been hearing the Haason Reddick rumors. I don't know if I buy them quite yet. Did you see the post?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. Did you see the report or the so-called rumor that things have been so bad with the Jets that Haason would definitely welcome coming back to Philly? That's how bad things have been. Yeah. I don't know how much I buy into that, because again, at the end of the day, he's, regardless of what's going on over there, he's looking for his money. And if you trade for him again, you think he's just going to play without the money?
Yeah, and I don't understand. I don't really understand the Jets in this one. I could be wrong, but the fact that he's not in the building should have nothing to do with you working the deal like you said you were going to do. You knew what he wanted from the rip. So if the only thing, and I'm positive that there's a lot more to it than that, but don't put out that BS statement about we need to have him in the building, and that's the only time we're going to start negotiating if he's in the building. Man, get on the damn Zoom call. And Stop playing with that. Stop playing, especially when you see all of this stuff happening, everybody and their mama on their podcast and all of that kind of stuff, Jets included. Do what you got to do to get it done. Because at the end of the day, people are going to look back on it and say you could have had your defense in an even better situation. But you want to play hardball. You knew what he wanted. The only thing that's kind of saving their ass right now is because their defense is playing fairly well without Huff and Reddick. Yes. So they get a little bit of grace with that, but still, as a business thing, and this hurts them in the long run because Aaron Rodgers ain't gonna be there forever.
Correct.
So if you're a veteran and you see what's going on with Hassan Reddick, why would you want to go there? So, I think that they shot themselves in the foot trying to play hardball. You knew what I would imagine that the Eagles and Hassan Reddick made it crystal clear because we was in the news when we didn't want to sign him. So you knew how much he wanted. So I don't know how much they can do. I've heard the rumors about Hassan Reddick being up for coming back to Philly. You know how I feel about that. Keep your homeboys at home. I don't think we never should have got rid of them. Find a way to make it work is what I say. I don't buy into that on the plus side of 30. People break that stereotype year after year after year. The only thing you should be going after is what is he doing on the field? If he's out playing Bosa, if he's out playing all of these other guys that are making a ton of money, regardless of what the age is, find something that works. But hey, that's the nature of the beast, man. I can't.
So how much do you
go ahead?
So how much do you buy into that narrative of getting rid of a guy? And I think this is the Patriots way. Getting rid of a guy a year, you'd rather get rid of a guy a year too early than a year too late. Right. How much do you buy? How much do you buy into that?
It makes sense, but there are always exceptions. There's always exceptions. Look what we did with what's the guy we got from Chicago, Robert Quinn. And I remember, was I on with you that day? Because I know I was on with Barrett and D Gunn. And D Gunn was like, nah. He was like, I'm telling you, I've talked to people in Chicago, and they would have got rid of him for a pack of gum and some bubblegum cards. You know what I'm saying? So Derek Gunn called it out when we first made the deal, and everybody was looking at what Quinn used to be and not what he was. And when he got here, he ain't even sniffed the quarterback.
Yeah. It was that was look, again, I always respect the swing though. You're competing for a Super Bowl. You're trying to listen. I can't argue. I would never be mad at Harry Roseman for taking a swing, right? At the end of the day. If you miss, you miss. It comes with the territory. Everybody ain't going to hit. But the Bryce Huff thing, right? That seemed like a solid swing. Did it not?
It did.
Maybe not a home run, but at least
I agree.
A double or a single, right? It seemed like a solid swing. An ascending young edge rusher coming off of his best year, and essentially you kind of gave him a middle of the pack edge rusher contract. You know what I'm saying? He's not making more than 20 million, but 17 million pretty damn close though. It's I've been watching that. I've been using the NFL the thing you told me about.
The NFL Pro?
Yes, I've been using that. I love it, by the way. Bryce Huff in that Saints game,
he was horrible.
You could tell just based off of the snap counts and just when they were using them. Once they got out of that first quarter, you saw Vic Fangio just say, you know what? I'm rolling with BG and Nolan on that side. And
anytime BG on his farewell tour is outplaying a third, fourth year player, that makes Bryce Huff looks like the rookie from a small school who somehow made the squad, but as soon as he get in the game, he looks totally overmatched. That's what he looks like.
But I don't understand it though. Like I'm trying to understand how you just forget how to pass rush. I'm not because somebody tried to say, oh yeah, Vic Fangio's defense he's not benefiting from it somehow. I'm like, I don't see them dropping him back in coverage. I see them.
This is fundamentals. This is fundamentals. He's not getting off the ball. He's not using his hands. He's not getting past the offensive tackles. He's not shedding blocks. He's damn sure not setting the edge. This is fundamental stuff that I'm not expecting Bryce Huff to get to the quarterback. I'm not expecting him to do what Hassan Reddick did. He's not Hassan Reddick, but I'm at least expecting him to show that he is a average defensive end. He's not even playing at that level. And I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know what the call is. Is he just totally uncomfortable with his? I know, I think they moved him around with the Jets, but I think most of the time, I believe he was on the right side. Is he having troubles being on the left? I don't know, but I'm with you, man. This is weird. Like, did just all of your what is all your secret sauce? Did you leave it in New York or something?
I don't
get it. He looks like he is totally overmatched out there. And I was like, we got to be able to see something more than this, because that makes no sense. Because on film, it looks like he does not belong at the pro level.
Yeah, it looks like he actually doesn't know what he looks like somebody that's indecisive in what he wants to do. Like I'm seeing him rush the right tackle, and I'm like, dog, put hands on him. Do something. Hit him with a move. It just seems like it seems like he has these perpetual brain farts whenever the ball snaps. Is it a confidence issue? Is the pressure weighing on him? I don't know. But this man scrubbed all his Eagle stuff from his social media. I don't understand.
I saw Simone's post with that. I came back from the luncheon yesterday, and the first thing I saw was Simone's post on Twitter. And I was like, huh? And I was like, oh, here we go with this nonsense, man. I don't get these kids with scrubbing Twitter when they mad at their team. But hey, this they world. So but all I know is I don't care what he scrubbed. He better start scrubbing that offensive tackle and at least putting some pressure on Baker Mayfield today when he gets his opportunities, because now he's not a starter no more. He's a situational guy. And if you coming in as a situational guy,
$17 million for a situational guy.
Exactly. He got what, 18 snaps last game?
Correct.
So now you're talking about 20 or less snaps. That means your opportunities are cut more than half. So you really got to take advantage of that. And he is not getting nowhere close to that. And I'm with you. I saw the same thing you did. He looked legit in New York. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it was situational. When he had his opportunities, he made the most of those opportunities. That's what you're supposed to do.
But Marcus, I will say this though, full transparency. When we signed him, I was always a little nervous about Bryce Huff.
Right.
I was always nervous about him. For this reason, you only played about 40% of the snaps, 42% of the snaps in New York. Okay. But even beyond that, you were not a first or second down player. So I said to myself, can this play? My biggest conversation points were the motor and the circumstances. Can he still be an effective player when he's not rushing the passer? Can he still be an effective player when he's being asked to play 3 downs in a row? Can he be an effective player when you're saying, listen, we need you to be on the field for this entire drive? Like, he has not been able to prove that. That was my biggest concern. And so far, it's holding true. Now, I ask you this, right? Because I definitely don't want to spend too much time on Bryce Huff, but on the defensive side, everybody else is, that's the most annoying part about this, right? You're seeing on the defense, through these past 3 weeks, you see on the defense, even players who probably started off struggling, you see them making strides. You see the game slowing down. You see them taking the coaching from, you're seeing the mistakes from the previous week being rectified the next week. You're seeing that Avonte Maddox, week 1, awful. Week 2 and 3, Avonte Maddox has been lights out. I think Avonte Maddox been targeted over the past couple weeks. Let me pull this up on the screen here. He's only been good. Check this out.
Yeah.
Since versus the Falcons and the Saints here. 1 reception allowed, 6 yards allowed, a 47.9 passer rating when targeted. Now, we can debate how many times he's been targeted, but regardless, over a 2-game sample size, when you are the weak link in the DB room or out of the starters, right?
Right.
This is not bad. This is not bad at all. So again, players who did have a bad game in 1 week, they're making strides. We're seeing the improvement. We're seeing the growth, right? We're seeing the learning, the aha moments. We're seeing that.
Right.
Bryce Huff, we're not getting any of that. We're not getting
so much.
We're not getting any. Close. We're not getting any sort of like, okay, he had a strong drive here. Oh, okay, strong first half, tailed off in the second half. Okay, strong second half, weak first half. We're not seeing anything from this brother.
Any of that.
And that is concerning. That is concerning. Do you think, real quick before you go, do you think, again, new team, new situation, new job responsibilities, do you think, hey, look, it's only been 3 weeks going into the fourth, let them settle in, or certain things that shouldn't be an issue that we're seeing?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Because I want to say, to your point, everything you said was valid. But whatever your expectations were for Bryce Huff, nobody, and I mean nobody, saw him being this bad.
Yes.
Nobody saw that.
I think we all can agree with that. Everybody in the live chat, everybody watching the show.
We're thinking of if he gets 4 sacks. Well, he's not Hassan Reddick. He ain't get double digits. Right. He only got 4 sacks. Oh, man, that's what we would be looking at. But he ain't gonna sniff a sack the way he's playing right now. Now, to the other point you just made, kind of finally settling in and figuring out what he has to do. Now's the week to do that, because now we see our defensive line: Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, Jordan Davis, Milt Williams. Mm-hmm. Now they've kind of settled in and they put the league on notice.
Jomo looks good. Looks good. He had a strong game against the Saints.
So now, does that take some of the pressure off Huff? Because a lot of times when those edges get through, a lot of that is due because your interior is playing so well. So you got to shift your focus. Our offensive line has to shift their focus. Who are you game planning? I always use that word.
But Marcus, he's not getting double teamed. Marcus, he's facing one-on-ones. They're never game. They're not game planning for him. He's going against tight ends and right tackles. Right tackles historically have never been your stronger pass blockers. Now they are, because it's just the way the league is going. Where right tackles are damn near as good as left tackles as far as pass blocking now. But again, for the most part, your right tackle is your weaker pass blocker, most of them naturally. And he's not winning against those guys. He's not winning against tight ends. He's a lot of somebody tweeted how he's getting chipped at like an 18 or 20% clip. I'm like, he hasn't even put up any stats to for somebody to even chip him. No. You know what I'm saying?
As a defensive end, rarely do you see defensive ends with no stats.
None. He
got no assists.
Nothing. He got the same amount of tackles as Jalen Hurts.
Exactly. Jalen Hurts got more.
I know one thing. Jalen better stop throwing them interceptions, man. He better stop turning that ball over.
He got
to the super chat real quick for sure. Shout out to my man Green Wingman with the $10 super.
Appreciate you, Wingman.
He says, I hope Kellen Moore was watching the 49ers on how they conducted their offense without their best talent on the field. This should be opportunity for these wideouts to produce. Here's the thing, Wingman, and I appreciate you. It's definitely going to be opportunities for those guys, right? Because I trust Kellen Moore's game planning. I think there's going to be opportunities for Jahan Dotson and Johnny Wilson. Those guys. I think there's going to be opportunities for them to catch the ball. The question becomes, hey, Johnny Wilson, catch the ball, brother. Because there was a pass on that final drive. Jalen Hurts threw him a
perfect, threw it down right on the hands, right
at the back shoulder throw,
right on. He would have caught it and been out of bounds, stopped the clock.
Exactly, gave him a perfect back shoulder throw. Now, granted, was there a defender or two in there? Yeah, it was a defender, but you had enough body control to stop on the dime, to contort your body, get 2 hands on the ball.
Yeah.
Come on, brother. You got to take advantage of those opportunities, man. You got to take advantage. Hit the jug machine
right there.
Hit the jug machine. Thank you, Wingman. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
You know what I like about that kid, Wilson? Do you remember that play he made earlier? It was almost like a screen pass, and he made somebody miss.
He broke the tape. Yeah. I remember that. Yes. That was an important drive.
The one thing I remember about that play, and it immediately stood out. Did not expect someone that tall to be that explosive.
And to be that
he accelerated fast. When he broke the tackle, he got upfield quickly.
Yeah.
And I said, I like that. And that might be a situation where we can use, but he's going to get into it. And I'm hoping we can find more ways to use him, because anybody that's 6'3" and 6'4", I say the same thing. You always going to have DBs that are 5'10". Throw the ball up in the air. You go up, Wilson, you go up and you dunk with 2 hands. That's what you're supposed to do.
Simple as that, man. Thank you, Dominique, for your super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you. It means a lot. As a matter of fact, let me take care of you and make sure I get you your wrench.
Get the wrench
to the channel.
Part of the squad.
Yeah. Whenever people donate, I give them a wrench, brother. That's how I do it.
Sir.
So I appreciate you, Dominique. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the love. But yeah, man, they're gonna have opportunities. And before we get out of here, right? I definitely want to get your keys to the game. We said a lot. We talked about offense, defense. Todd Bowles blitzing Jalen Hurts. It's going to be like you said. He passed the quizzes. All right, brother. Now it's time for the test. And Todd Bowles has been your kryptonite throughout your entire career. If you can slay this demon, if you can slay this dragon, going into the bye week, I think we're going to start to see teams game plan for Jalen Hurts a little differently, because he's made a drastic. I brought the stats up on the screen, right? Compared to his rookie year to up until now, he's had the most drastic improvement in reading the blitz this season compared to his previous seasons.
Big time.
If he can slay this dragon, because teams know like you play this game. Once the word get out about a player, everybody know. So if he can slay this dragon and be efficient, right? He don't got to have a crazy game. Be efficient. If he has a game where he goes 20 for 25, 180 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, no turnovers, I think he slayed that dragon, if you ask me. So I got to ask you, what are your keys to the game for the Eagles offense, and what are your keys to the game for the Eagles defense?
Eagles defense, continue to do what you've been doing. You showed against arguably one of the best offenses in the league, although small sample size, but it is what it is. That when y'all put it together and you get everything on the right page, we have one of the best defensive lines still in football. And the way we mentioned earlier, the way they're keeping teams out of the end zone in the red zone has been very impressive. So they just need to keep doing what they're doing. The run defense was so much better last week, and I don't see why that should change. So defense, keep doing what you're doing. I want to see Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis continue to eat. On offense, 2 words: hot reads. That's all we got to worry about. Well, they're gonna they're gonna bring the blitz. Nothing's changing. You know what Bowles is gonna do? He's gonna be creative in some of his blitz. He's gonna disguise some things, but you already know he's coming. Are they gonna come at that 60% clip like he did last year in the playoff game? I don't know. But let's say he backs that up 10%. That's still 50%. Or hell, that's still 40%. So he's going to come at you a lot. You got to have your blitz pick up a game in place, and he better be getting rid of that ball super quick.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Defensively, it starts in the trenches. Control the line of scrimmage. Force Baker Mayfield. At the end of the day, I know he's been efficient, but he got sacked 7 times in that game against the Denver Broncos.
Yes, he did.
If I'm that defense, I'm completely eliminating their run game, making them one-dimensional, and I want Baker Mayfield to beat me for 60 minutes. I want Baker Mayfield to have to be perfect for 60 minutes. That's what I want. Offensively, listen, you said 2 words, right? I got 4 words for you. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
That's all I got for that. Keep it simple, stupid. You ain't got to overcomplicate this game plan. I swear.
Yeah.
Like, with Kellen Moore being there, I would like to think that he has enough football acumen to say, hey, they suck at stopping the run. Let's run the ball. We got Saquon Barkley. And then, we'll create opportunities in the play action. I would love to see Saquon Barkley under center a lot more in this game. They've been running him a lot. They've been running him a lot out of the shotgun. And don't get me wrong, he has been effective.
Very effective.
But every time I see him line up in that ace and that I formation,
love it.
It's a different speed he's running with, if you ask me.
Love it. I'm telling you, and I've said this many times before, man. Running backs, we love to run downhill. We do not want to have to take a step to the right or to the left before we go. Give us the ball going downfield full speed. It makes everything better. It's easier for us to see all of those cutbacks and stuff like that. If something gets messed up, if a pulling guard doesn't get to his spot, or like we saw in the Saints game, when a linebacker beats him to the hole, you still have enough time to read and react and be a running back. So, man, I'm with you. Play action can be a thing today.
Yes,
especially when you blitzing.
Yes, you got to. That's the best way to slow down that blitz. You slow down that blitz. Establish your run game early. Yep. Make them second guess, because again, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, especially playing against Jalen Hurts, if their trump card is the blitz, if you could neutralize that early, and they ain't got Antoine Winfield, they ain't got Kalijah Kent, they're limited still. All you got to do is play the game, and you'll win.
Quick slants up the middle. If the linebackers are coming, the middle is wide open. Quick slants all day.
Do you have any bold predictions? Any bold stat predictions? Right, I want to start doing that with you too.
Stats.
Any bold stat predictions? Somebody put in the live chat, and it reminded me of it. Anthony Thompson. He said Quinyon Mitchell pick 6 today. He's been close.
Yes,
that brother's been close, which tells me it's only a matter. He's sniffing it. He's sniffing
Eagles
it, man.
Eagles defense should have 18 points this year. Quinyon Mitchell has dropped 2 pick sixes. Nakobe Dean dropped 1.
Some people argue and say he dropped 3.
Pick sixes, I've only seen 2.
Well, you know what?
I'll give him the picks. I'll give him the INTs. I'm talking specifically about pick
that's
sixes.
That's probably what I'm confusing in, because he should have had it. At least he should have 3 picks for the season for sure.
I agree.
But 2 pick sixes,
and
I think that's a safe bet.
Gardner Johnson should have 2.
Yes. I agree. Gardner Johnson is somebody who has kind of been solid, but there has been moments where he's given up a score or 2.
Mm-hmm.
But what he provides, goes beyond just the stat sheet or whatever it may be. Like Gardner Johnson he's a force multiplier just by his personality, how he plays the game, right? He's the kind of guy that, like, if he say we're gonna win, okay, I believe it. You know what I'm saying? And before we get out of here, right, I got to pick your brain about this too, because this is kind of off the beaten path a little bit, but CJ he had after that Saints game, he had a post game press conference that went viral. And he was said top what, talking about the Saints and all that. I didn't trade them, they traded me, all that kind of stuff. He said we're the best secondary in the league. He got into all that, right? And you see a lot of people like a Michael Parsons and like other people, they jump out the window and they say, bro, we don't know who you are, who are, like, they get sensitive about it. But mind you, we didn't play the Cowboys that week. We didn't do none of that. But exactly. but people took it personal, right? And when I was watching that interview, I was saying to myself, and when I was seeing the reactions to it, I'm like, oh, they don't get it. They don't realize that he's not talking to them. Like GJ, even in that press conference, when Zach Berman was asking him his questions, all that kind of stuff, he was, in my opinion, I felt like he was talking past them. I feel like he was really sending a message to his team, saying, hey, listen, I'm telling you we the best, and we're going to play like it. Y'all better believe it, because I do. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Somebody that's putting that battery in your back, somebody that's exercising that level of belief in you that you probably didn't think you had, right? That goes a long way in football. You tell me, right? What's it like having that one guy on the roster that he's a firecracker, but when he says it, all right, we believe it. You ever play with a guy like that?
It's different nowadays.
Okay.
Because if somebody said it when I played, they said it in the locker room or at the end of practice, and that it was either Seth or it was Herschel, maybe Eric Allen. That's it. The captains stepped up and did what they had to do, and that's where it ended. But now, because of social media and all of that kind of stuff, it takes on a different tone. To your point, I understand exactly what you're saying, and you're not wrong. Mm-hmm. However, the other side of that is when you put it out there and something goes viral, like you said, mm-hmm. you already know you're going to get pushback from somebody else. Now, looking at the stuff that Micah Parsons said, I don't understand why Micah Parsons just don't shut the hell up. Y'all got enough issues on your own. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, if y'all winning and y'all want to jump into that Dallas Kool-Aid, that's great. But y'all struggling. So, what's that little viral meme with the kid in the back seat? Worry about yourself.
That's why
I'll be fine. Worry about yourself.
That's why, I know a lot of people don't like Darius Slay's podcast, the Eagles fans especially, but I don't mind it because he keeps it about the Eagles. He don't talk about nobody else. You know what I'm saying? Like he may talk about a player that he had a great performance. I really like what I saw from him. Not a favorite player he liked, but he really keeps it about the Eagles. He pretty much just gives his own recap of what happened the previous week.
Right.
Meanwhile, Micah, he giving his top 10 teams in the league, and he giving these opinions, these think pieces about other teams. I'm like, bro, I don't mind players having podcasts, right? But you gotta treat it with a little bit. You gotta treat it with with a little bit some more tact. You got to be more tactful, right?
You should, just like my sister tell me all the time. You doing too much.
That's funny, man. And now DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons, they're going to be out for multiple weeks with their own set of injuries, and come to find out, the injuries are worse than what they even anticipated. So we'll see.
Let me tell you something from somebody who has had a high ankle sprain, man. That is two things that people don't give enough credit to: high ankle sprains and turf toe. Turf toe, they should call that something else, because they laugh at you when you say it. But if you've never had turf toe, especially you at a skill position, I mean, every position you got to push off with your feet. The pain that puts out is unbearable. It is ridiculous. But high ankle sprains is no joke, especially for somebody like Micah Parsons, where most of his game is bending around that offensive tackle, getting low. Whew.
Yeah,
that's bad for business.
Yeah, and they're already kind of struggling on the defensive side. You don't got DeRon Bland. You lost Micah Parsons. You lost DeMarcus Lawrence in the same game. It's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Shout out to my man Green Wingman with the $5 super chat. I appreciate you, brother, for donating to the channel once again. He says if Mitchell had picked at least 3 of those picks, we would have been talking about him as defensive rookie of the year candidate. I think he is. I think he is a defensive rookie of the year candidate. I think he still has a chance to be a candidate. I think he is a candidate. I don't think there's nobody really who's jumped up the page defensively from this draft who's really just been wrecking games, or who's just been like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, it's just been, I feel like everybody's kind of just been doing their job. They've been treading water a little bit. No one's been awful, but everyone's kind of just been, doing their job to the T. Whereas no one's really jumped off the page like, how Aiden Hutchinson jumped off that one year, right? Or Will Anderson.
I beg to differ. Zach Bond.
Oh, well, no. I'm talking about rookies. I'm talking about rookies for defensive rookie of the year. Yeah. I'm talking about young players, rookies, because of the defensive rookie of the year candidate point he made. But to your point though, before we get out of here, I know I keep saying that, but certain things keep popping in my brain now because we didn't talk about Zach Bond. I think he leads the league in solo tackles, right? Leads the league in solo tackles, but he's like 3rd or 4th in total tackles. And thank you, Wingman, for your super chat. I appreciate you. But Zach Bond has been like I had a feeling he would be solid.
We talked about it,
but he's been
talked about him
during the offseason, right?
Yeah, we talked about it.
People laughed at me when I said he was going to be all right. Yeah. People laughed at me, bro. I went
back and watched tape on him. I was like, he making the most of the opportunities he getting. He got lost in the sauce down there in New Orleans.
Exactly. And I was just trying.
Haven't we been through this before?
Matthew Peters. I'm not taking the bait, brother. I probably already did, but I ain't taking the bait because I did tell you. I did tell y'all about Zach Ball. I listen. The moment we signed him,
I remember that. Yeah.
The moment we signed him, I said, "Listen, this dude was a stat sheet stuffer, right?" And when I said that, somebody was like, "He's not a stat sheet stuffer. He barely played." I said, "Listen, do you know what a stat sheet stuffer is? A stat sheet stuffer is somebody who's able to check off many boxes in various categories, even if it's our perfect example, right? If Draymond Green gives you 10 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 blocks, that's a stat sheet stuffer. If somebody gives you 10 points, 8 boards, 8 assists, 2 blocks, 1 steal, they stuff the stat sheet because they're in more categories than normal. Right. Zach Bond, when he was with the Saints, in particular, those final 4 or 5 games where he played because they had injuries, he stepped up big time in those final 4 or 5 games. He was a stat sheet stuffer. He had sacks, he had an interception, he had pass deflections, quarterback hits, tackles. He was all over. He was literally stuffing the stat sheet with various categories, showing you the versatility, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't expect him to be this good.
Matthew,
I didn't expect him to be this good, man. I did.
I gotta agree with Tone because I know we got together and we talked about it, and I remember saying that Zach Bond was when you hear people talk about the numbers game, Zach Bond was that guy, because you had people, he may have been better than what they had down in New Orleans, but because you paying somebody a lot more money, you got to pay him. So he got caught in the numbers game. And you know what? We got him up here and it's paying dividends. And doesn't this seem familiar? When was the last time we had a linebacker that was supposed to be just okay that turned out to be all world? TJ Edwards, maybe? Same thing. So now, if he stays healthy and keeps doing what he's doing, let's hope that Howie Roseman doesn't make the same mistake and let him walk.
Get that brother a simple 3-year deal.
Pay the man. Just pay the man.
Give him a 3-year deal. I know some people say pay Zach Bond now, and I'm like, wait a little bit. Just wait a little bit. But
pay the man.
But at this rate, man, look, I can't listen. Give him a nice little 3-year deal. 30 million. Whatever you got to do to, man. Like keep 3-year deal, 3-year deal, 25. Well, however you got to make sense of it. And listen, where he is in his career, and I don't mean no disrespect, but where he is in his career, you throw that man a parking pass for 3. He will. I feel like whatever amount of money you throw at him, as long as he has years, he'll take it.
There's something to be said for players, for veteran players, 4 years plus, that small schools, undrafted free agents, low draft picks, the guys that really had to battle to find a spot on the squad. That's why I like Reed Blankenship.
Yeah,
I'm a 1AA. I'm a 1AA guy, and I was an undrafted free agent that made the Eagles with Herschel Walker. You know what I mean? That wasn't supposed to happen from somebody coming from Eastern Kentucky. So when I see guys like that, when I see guys like Reed Blankenship, when I see guys like Brian Westbrook from 1AA Villanova, and what they do, guys like that, it just seems like they appreciate it and they will work harder for you. So I like Zach Bond. I'm pulling for somebody like him. And as quiet as kept, and I don't want to pump up Cowboys too much, but that's why I didn't like, that's why I never disliked Tony Romo. Because when Tony Romo got the job, they didn't want him down there. Tony Romo made Dallas keep him because he balled that. Northern Illinois, come on.
That's a good point.
Same thing with Brock Purdy. I can't hate on Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I can't hate on him.
Mr. Irrelevant, you didn't give him a shot in the wind. And the only thing he did was ball better than all of these 6'4" guys coming from SC and all these other schools that you just automatically know was so much better.
Yeah, that's why I got a strong affinity for Jalen Hurts. And again, second round pick, very different than being Mr. Irrelevant, but I got a strong affinity for Jalen Hurts because going into that draft, they was talking about him changing his position. They was saying that, one read quarterback, he's a running back. Oh, they was killing him, in the pre-draft process.
Right. Did you see your boy last night after the game?
The boy Milroe, right?
Nice.
Jalen Milroe.
Nice. Yes, that was nice.
Yo, that was dope.
That was nice.
Big shout out. See, here's the thing, right? With Jalen Hurts, it always seems like it's like one of those situations. Like if you know, people exactly. It's people that got their opinions about Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, but if you talk about the people, if you ask the people who really study him, know him, be around him, whatever, all that kind of stuff, they're like, yo, bro, they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to this man.
They don't.
And when it comes to Jalen Hurts, right? They had all these opinions about Jalen Hurts pre-draft, right? And then they had all these positive things to say about Tua and Herbert and Burrow. These guys are the second comings of this guy. Like, and then, even Jordan Love was drafted higher than him, right? But out of all those guys in his draft class, who's been the most consistent? Who's been the most successful, right? You see, I tweeted something. I tweeted something a while back. I think you liked it. I can't remember. A lot of people really loved this tweet that I posted. I got over 130,000 views on it. It was crazy. I didn't expect that. I'm gonna show it to you real quick because it's relevant to this conversation. Peep this. Just read that out loud for me, brother. Just read it out loud for me.
Football evaluators fall in love with big arms, crazy athleticism, and cool nicknames when at the end of the day, all you got to ask is, does he win games? Jalen Hurts is the winningest quarterback from his 2020 draft class, yet his legitimacy continues to be called into question. 100%.
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. More wins than Joe Burrow, more wins Justin Herbert, more wins than Tua, more wins than Jordan Love. Now, granted, Jordan Love, he kind of had he got redshirted a couple of years, so he has a mulligan. But as far as those other guys, Tua, Herbert, Burrow, more wins than all those guys, more playoff wins than all those guys. I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. Well, maybe Joe Burrow has similar playoff wins. Let me make sure.
Joe Burrow does. But we got a quarterback who has arguably the best performance in the Super Bowl ever.
Yeah, that's true. It's very, very
true. They didn't lose because of him.
It's a good point. So, okay, Joe Burrow has. Okay, I take that back. Joe Burrow has more playoff wins. Jalen Hurts. Joe Burrow is 5-2 in the playoffs.
I can't go against Joe Burrow, man. Joe Burrow's a homeboy, man. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah, that's your man. He the Ohio guy. So yeah, I take that back. Yeah, my apologies for the slip.
Joe cool.
Joe Burrow has more. He has more playoff wins than Jalen Hurts. That's a fact. My apologies. I'll take that back. But as far as just having more wins throughout the career, being reliable, being healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like consistently been in the playoffs every year. I mean, Jalen Hurts has been that. He's been that.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. No, I understand it, but it's one of those conversations that some people really don't want to have. It can
read between the lines.
It can ruffle some feathers, Coach. It really can. It really can. But look, man, you definitely went over our time, brother. I appreciate you. It's been a hell of a show as always, man. Over 200 people tuned in. Man, we really do appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have been phenomenal in your support for this program each and every week. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. We're going to get this W, man. Eagles versus Buccaneers at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Mountain, 10 a.m. Pacific. And if you in Hawaii and Alaska, hey, y'all got to figure it out. But, man, it's going to be a fun game. Like I said, I got 4 words for the offense. Keep it simple, stupid. And as far as the defense go, hey, dominate the trenches. You win this football game. I trust our DBs at this point. I'm sorry, I do. I trust Quinyon Mitchell or anybody right now. I do. I trust Darius Slay or anybody right now. I trust Reed Blankenship back there. Is he limited? Sure. But Reed Blankenship has proven that, hey, you give him an opportunity, he's taking that ball away. Simple as that. So I like it, man. And they've been really athletic. Like he's been really flexing the athleticism on those interceptions too. So
yeah, and I like it because he's young enough and quick enough that he can still do it, but I like it that he's getting smarter.
Yeah, he's way smarter this year for sure. And
he's getting smarter. He's going to start picking his spots, and he might get one today.
Yeah,
I don't know if he'll take it back, but he might get one today.
It makes me wonder, like, how good can he be, or will he become week 10, week 12? Right? Like once everything settles in, like now you're starting to really gear in for that playoff push. You know what I'm saying? Like. Your defense is going to be your defense is going to have more concrete idea about what their responsibilities are, things of that nature. So, it's going to be really interesting to see. It's also going to be interesting to see what happens with Devin White and Bryce Huff in the long term. We'll find that out. But overall, you guys, we appreciate y'all for locking in on the program. Coach, any final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, just get ready because everything changes after this week. This is week 4. So remember what I said, you can only give a true evaluation after week 4. So now all of the rust has been brushed off. Mm-hmm. Everybody's seen everybody. Everybody's got film on everybody. So now you're going to see the playbooks open up a little bit and now we're going into a bye week. Mm-hmm. So that gives us an extra week to get some things ironed out and to figure out some other stuff that we could possibly do. So going into week 6, look for things to change up a little bit, and maybe we might get some surprises with our offense and defense going into week 6. But I think the Eagles, if we can get through this game clean, no injuries, no more injuries, Lord have mercy, we're going to be in a good spot.
It's funny, man. Like prior to the season, I hated that bye week. I'm like, oh my God, week 5 bye week. Come on, man. Really?
Yeah.
Now it's looking more valuable than ever.
In the worst
because in the first few weeks, we have seen this team kind of give you different versions of themselves in various situations. And new OC, new DC, they've been experimenting, they've been trying new things. You see Vic Fangio making the necessary adjustments after 2 weeks of not being able to stop the run and get to the quarterback, all that kind of stuff. And then you see things shift in week 3. I think it's going to be vital for this coaching staff, for this team, to look at those first 4 weeks and be able to figure out who they want to be going beyond that. That's good. I think for this team, that bye week is now, at least. I think for this team, that bye week is perfectly placed, especially with the injuries. And in week 6, I expect Devontae and AJ to be ready, and Lane. So you'll be able to really hit the ground running and really hit your stride. And coming out of that bye week, you got the Browns. And then I think you got you got throughout that whole stretch. You got Browns, you got Jags, you got Cincinnati. You know, I think Cowboys come up at some point early in the season now, in the first half of the season. So it's going to be interesting. But overall, I think that bye week is perfectly placed. Yeah. Eagles fans, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Smash that motherfucking like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels. Please make sure you guys are subscribed to Pro Fan Talk. Go subscribe to the good brother. His football acumen is chef's kiss. Please go subscribe to Pro Fan Talk. My man, Coach Marcus, does amazing work covering the NFL, the Philadelphia Eagles, the WNBA, covering just overall the sports industry, the business dealings of the NFL as well. He does an amazing job just having that foresight, that insight, and that clear sight. You feel what I'm saying? So appreciate y'all. Please go like it on Pro Fan Talk. It would mean the world to me. He's clearly great at what he does. And make sure you guys go subscribe to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got charges to the game. I've been your humble host, Tone DeShields II, and I was joined by none other than the illustrious Coach Marcus for Pro Fan Talk. Hit the like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed, and we're out here. Peace out, y'all. Have a good Sunday, and go Birds. Fly Eagles fly. We out here.